Welcome back to GP Fans. It's a section that I really like to call Parks Fermé, where Ian Parks joins us from the road at whichever Grand Prix he's able to jet off to this season. He, of course, is at Miami Beach to join us here as we build up to all the action with qualifying and race dates still to come. Ian, thanks so much for joining us, mate. How is Miami life treating you?
Miami life is pretty damn good. Sun is shining, clear blue skies. And I've come down especially for this chat to Miami Beach. As you can see in the background, the sun's just coming up. It's already about 28 degrees here. Humidity's high. It's going to be a tricky weekend for the drivers.
Now, I know you've been doing probably some of the Top Gun beach volleyball antics while down there on the beach, but there is actually an F1 race to get into, except for the fact that most people seem to be drawing their attention towards all the fun and frolics of Miami rather than the actual racing. This whole week has felt twice as long as any other Grand Prix. Liberty Media are really trying to sell this one, I feel.
And why not? We're in Miami. You know, it's one of those iconic venues that a sport like Formula One really needs to be at to continue its growth. Only recently, Ollie, I don't know if you read it or not, I wrote a piece in the New York Times looking back on the 5 years that we've had in Formula One since Liberty Media took over from Bernie Ecclestone. And if you think at the back of Bernie's day, F1 was growing a little bit stale, a little bit tired. And all of a sudden, here we are 5 years on. I'm standing on Miami Beach. Could I have envisaged that 5 years ago? Oh, here we're going to Vegas. So why not, when you are going to these venues, just have a bit of fun with them? Yes, we know there's a race going on this weekend. That's the important stuff. That's what the real hardcore fans want to focus on. And absolutely so. But as I say, when you come to a place like this, when you're in such an iconic venue, when there is so much to see, to do, to have fun with, then have fun with it as Formula One, because this sport has completely changed its identity. Particularly, I would suggest, these past couple of years, not just the 5 years since Liberty Media has been in charge.
Yeah, it's become fun, to say the least, particularly with the on-track action that we've had to propel that as well. I just wonder, though, because we've had a couple of drivers saying that these weekends suddenly feel quite long and there's a lot going on. You have 23 Grand Prix this season, of course, and it could be expanded to 25. And if they're testing new markets continually, like places like Miami, like Vegas, the possibility of wear out with all of these activities along with the racing in these weekends is one that they will perhaps have to look at in the future, though, right?
I don't think it's so much for the drivers. I think it's so much for the people in the background. The drivers can get used to this, you know. Yes, the seasons are long. They're getting longer. We're going to go to 24 races next season. We're going to max it out under the Concord Agreement. And that is going to be hard for everybody. Everybody involved in Formula One, everybody involved in the traveling circus. For the drivers, I think when they do something like this, the events that have been taking place, Lewis with his golf, Valtteri with the Miami Dolphins, Mick with the Miami Dolphins, Checo with the Florida Marlins, for all these kind of things going on, I think because it's something so new, so different, so fresh, they can really get into it. Of course, the question is, what are they going to be like come towards the end of the season, when they're still doing these kind of media events, rather than at the beginning as we are now. But for now, I think they're really embracing it. They're really enjoying it. And I think for them, it's going to be about pacing themselves now beyond this event. Get this one out of the way, get back into more of a routine beyond, as I say, this Grand Prix weekend, when you've got Barcelona, you've got Monaco coming up, and places like that when we get fully into the European season. And as I say, it's more about pacing yourself when we get to the back end of that season and making sure that they still retain that freshness that they've got right now when they come to a place like this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see Checo Perez and Max Verstappen throwing any more attempted curveballs and sliders on baseball diamonds. I want to see them throwing the cars around the place more than anything else, mainly because it seems that F1 drivers can't really throw that well, which is very surprising to me indeed. What's the kind of weirdest thing, what's the most elaborate thing that Miami has put on away from the track that you've seen this week, Ian, so far?
That I've seen, well, funny enough, I'm come down to Miami Beach because if I just turn my camera slightly to the background, and I don't know if you can see it, just in the distance over there, actually on Miami Beach, they've got an event called FTX Off the Grid. And that's like where big beach parties been taking place. Lots of good acts. I can see a VIP entry over there. And, you know, this one, they've really pulled out all the stops, Miami. Events all over the city this past few days, as we've seen with the drivers, but not just with the drivers, but for the fans as well. It's been really hospitality central these past few days, I would suggest, because they're really going all out to get the fans on F1 side, because as we know, F1 now has really broken the back of America.
And it's obviously helped with a few margaritas in the sunshine as well at certain points over the weekend. Ian, we do have FP1 and FP2 quickly just to talk about, and Mercedes. George Russell, he's getting something out of that car this weekend, and the reliability problems for Red Bull just creep in again once more for Max Verstappen.
It's the reliability problems with Red Bull. It's Carlos Sainz crashing again. And all of a sudden, yes, we've got Mercedes back in the game. We know going into practice that they fitted a new front wing, a new rear wing. We saw during the 2 practice sessions on Friday that the level of porpoising that W13 has really been so aggressive with, it was a lot calmer car. Going down that long 1.4 kilometer back straight in particular, you could see there was still some bobbling, naturally, partly because, as Lewis described, it's a very bumpy track. Why can't they build flat tracks? And George came out of the practice session and he turned around and said, we don't really know why we've done so well. Well, obviously they've got the new parts, so that's played a role, but can they carry that now into FP3 and especially into qualifying on Saturday afternoon? Is that speed genuine? Has Ferrari and Red Bull been sandbagging just a little bit? It is a new track. You've got to get up to speed. We know there's going to be a hell of a lot more quicker times going in than the 129 plus that George did in FP2 that topped the timesheets on Friday afternoon. And as you say, for Red Bull, Max Verstappen in particular, just 5 time laps across 2 hours. And that, for him, for that team, is really not good enough, because when you come to a new circuit, you want as much time as you possibly can on track to get used to that circuit. And he's just not had that yet. So he's really going to have to get up to speed in this final hour of practice on Saturday, early Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting then the next 24 hours or so. And then, of course, we go into the race as well on Sunday. Ian's going to be across all of it on gpfans.com and GPFans Global on Twitter and Instagram as well, helping out with some of the social media content that we put out too. Ian, I'll let you get back to the VIP party on the beach this morning. It's an early start for that, for the partying. But look, you're a man with a lot of will and plenty of energy in yourself when it comes to places like Miami. So I know you're enjoying it.
Yeah, I've just actually come from the party straight into this video in the early hours. Going through the night, whatever.
Take care, man. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Ali, take care, everyone.